In the center of the galaxy, inside the Great Hall of Stars, the Galactic Council gathered once again. 99 seats formed a perfect circle, each one belonging to a powerful and ancient civilization. Their leaders spoke in different voices, shapes, and colors. Some glowed, some floated, some needed machines to breathe. But one seat had always remained empty. It was a large black chair, built from strange metal that none of the others could identify. It had no markings, no nameplate, and no light touched it. No one knew why, but even the brightest stars seemed to avoid it. That seat belonged to Earth, to humanity. For 300 years, that seat had never been used. No human had ever returned. Most of the younger species didn't even know who the humans were. They thought the seat was a mistake or a forgotten relic. But the elders remembered. They remembered stories passed down from their ancestors, tales of a species born from a violent world, a death world, they called it, a place where even the air, water, and animals could kill. And yet life had not only survived there. It had evolved into something terrifying. Humans. No one knew why they had joined the council in the first place. They had arrived suddenly, thousands of years ago, requesting a seat, not asking, just stating, "We will take our place." Back then, the council laughed. Earth was still new to space travel. Their ships were small, their numbers were low, but something in the humans' eyes, something made the council agree. Then, just as quickly as they came, the humans vanished. No warning, no message, no goodbye. Their planets went silent. Their colonies disappeared. Their ships stopped flying. Some believed Earth had been destroyed in a war. Others whispered that humans had turned on themselves, like animals. A few believed they had never existed, that Earth was a myth to scare children. For 300 years, the seat remained untouched. Until now. The lights in the Great Hall flickered. The council members paused, confused. A low hum echoed through the chamber, like a song being sung by a machine far away. Then the black seat, Earth's seat, lit up. A soft white glow surrounded it. And then, the symbol of Earth appeared above the chair, a spinning blue and white sphere, the forgotten image of the human homeworld. Silence filled the chamber. "No," whispered High Speaker Jorek of the Velathi Dominion. His long silver fingers shook. "That world is dead." The others began to speak at once. "Is this a trick? Who dares to use the forbidden seat? Find the signal source. It must be pirates." Then a deep, calm voice echoed from the black chair. Not from speakers, not from any machine. It came directly into their minds. "We were always listening." The words stopped every heart in the room. Council members looked at each other in shock. Who are you?" demanded a tall, scaled creature named Craner of the Xarnik Empire. The voice replied, slowly, "You forgot us. You removed our name from your records. But we never left. We only watched." A soft vibration ran through the floor, like distant footsteps. Security systems scanned the room, but found nothing. "State your identity," shouted Commander Vexer of the Security Division. The voice replied, "We are the children of Earth. We remember everything." The betrayal, the silence, the lies. A silence heavier than space itself filled the chamber. Old records were rushed forward. Hidden files were accessed. Some of the oldest members, long thought useless, began to cry. The humans were back. But how? Why now? And most importantly, what did they want? The voice continued. "The council always saw the empty seat. You wondered why it stayed unclaimed. Now, you will learn the truth." Then, as suddenly as it came, the light vanished. The seat went dark again. But something had changed. The council could feel it. Fear. Real fear, the kind only humans had ever caused. Some tried to speak, to laugh, to say it was just a trick. But deep down, they knew. Earth was returning. and it had been watching the whole time. After the strange message from the Black Seat, the council was no longer calm. The great chamber, once filled with order and control, now echoed with panic. Council members argued. Some shouted. Others just stared at Earth's chair, still dark and silent. But the silence didn't feel empty anymore. It felt watched. "Find the source of that voice," barked Commander Vexer. His robotic limbs moved quickly as he scanned the air for hidden transmitters. No signal detected. The machine officer replied. It did not come from outside. It came from inside the seat. Inside. High Speaker Jorek, one of the oldest members, stood slowly. His long robes shimmered with starlight. He raised a hand, and the others grew quiet. "I warned you," he said in a dry, tired voice. "I told you the humans were not dead. I told you we should never erase them. You speak of ghosts," hissed Craner of the Xarnek Empire. "The humans abandoned us. They ran from responsibility." "No," Jorek replied. "We forced them to leave. We betrayed them." Gasps filled the chamber. The younger members looked confused. "Betrayal? What betrayal?" Jorek turned to the center of the chamber. "Show the records," he ordered. A screen lit up. Old council files appeared, locked, restricted, and marked with red warnings. HFY, Earth, Phi Elias. Council Order 131. Sealed for 300 years. Many had never seen this folder before. Some didn't even know it existed. Jorek entered his code. The file opened. The room fell silent again. Images flashed across the screen. Humans in armor, ships burning in space, and finally, a message written in Earth's language. "You betrayed us. We leave you not with war, but with silence. The next time we speak, it will be the last time you hear us." The council chamber grew colder, though no temperature changed. This can't be real," whispered a blue-skinned diplomat. "We erased this from the official records." "Yes," Jorek said, "and in doing so, we forgot our greatest mistake. 300 years ago, the Council had voted to block humanity's expansion. Earth had grown too fast, learned too quickly, and was challenging older species. Jealous and afraid, the Council made a secret decision. They launched a surprise strike on several human colonies, calling it resource regulation. But the humans didn't fight back. They simply vanished. Ships disappeared. Stations went offline. Entire planets went dark. No bodies were found. No debris. Just silence. At first, the Council believed Earth had destroyed itself out of pride. They covered up the attack and told the galaxy that humans had collapsed from within. But now, that lie was coming back. "I don't understand," said a young alien ambassador. "If Earth had this power, why didn't they attack us then?" Jorek answered, "Because humans are patient. They don't strike in anger. They strike with purpose." The Council began to worry. If humanity had watched silently for 300 years, what had they learned? What had they built? Why had they returned now? "Maybe it's not war," said one hopeful voice. "Maybe they just want peace." Peace. Craner snapped. They reactivated the seat with a message inside our minds. That is not peace. That is a warning. Then came the worst part. The security commander stood up again. His voice trembled. "We just received a signal," he said. "From deep space, an object is moving toward the galactic core. Fast. Too fast." "How fast?" Jorek asked. "Faster than light. Faster than anything we've ever seen. It's heading straight for us." The room went silent once more. They all knew what it was. A human ship. After 300 years, Earth was no longer watching from afar. It was on the move. And the Council, once the proud rulers of the galaxy, had no idea what was coming. The object was still coming. It moved faster than anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. It wasn't sending any signals. It didn't respond to messages. It didn't even slow down. But it was heading straight for the Council's homeworld, the heart of the galaxy. Inside the Great Hall of Stars, tension filled the air. "We must respond," said Commander Vexor, his mechanical hands tightening. "We cannot wait for it to arrive." "We don't know if it's a weapon," another leader argued. "What if it's just a ship bringing a message?" High Speaker Jorek shook his head. "When humans send messages, they speak clearly. That voice we heard, that was the message." Silence. Then a bold idea came. "We must go to Earth," said Craner of the Xarnek Empire. "If we wait here, we are sitting targets. But if we go to them, maybe we can control the situation." Many disagreed. Earth had been dark for centuries. No probe had ever returned. No scan had ever worked. It was as if the planet was hidden by something far beyond normal science. Still, the fear of waiting was worse than the fear of flying there. So the Council agreed. They formed a small group, one representative from 5 of the most powerful races, a team of elite scientists, 2 diplomats, and a security force of 50 soldiers. Their mission was simple: go to Earth, find out what happened, and if possible, make peace. The ship was called Silver Echo. It was the fastest diplomatic vessel in the fleet, equipped with cloaking shields, language systems, and emergency weapons. It launched within the day. As the stars passed by the windows, the crew sat in silence. Even the soldiers were nervous. One young diplomat, a green-scaled female named Telra, finally spoke. "Why does everyone fear humans so much?" she asked. The others looked at her. Some were too afraid to answer. Then an old engineer replied softly, "Because they change everything they touch. They don't follow rules. They break them. And sometimes they make something new from the pieces." Telra frowned. "That doesn't sound dangerous." "It is," he whispered, "especially when they've been silent for 300 years. Hours later, they arrived near the Sol system, the home of Earth. What they saw shocked them all. The system was quiet, too quiet. No satellites, no signals, no moving ships, no space stations, just cold planets spinning around a sun that looked older than it should. "Where is everyone?" asked one soldier. "Scan the 3rd planet," the captain ordered. The sensors focused on Earth. And then the screen went white. Blinded, the technician gasped. "By what?" "I don't know," the sensor officer cried. "It's like the planet is covered by a veil." The ship shook. "Gravitational pull increasing," shouted the pilot. "Something is pulling us in. Shields up. Reverse thrusters." Nothing worked. The ship was dragged toward Earth, not fast, but slowly and carefully, like something was guiding it. "Are we being attacked?" Telra shouted. "No," Jorek said calmly. "We are being invited." And then the ship stopped. It floated just above Earth's atmosphere. Below them, clouds swirled peacefully. Continents could be seen through the mist. Oceans glimmered. The planet didn't look dead. It looked alive. But still, no cities, no lights, no signs of modern life. "It's like the planet reset itself," one scientist said. "Or evolved into something we don't understand," Jorek replied. Then a message appeared on their main screen. No voice, just words. "Welcome home, Council. We have been expecting you." The crew stared at the message. Then the ship's systems went offline. Everything. No weapons, no engines, no escape. And yet, they were safe. The message changed. "You sought the truth. Now you will see it, but only if you're ready to listen, not speak." And the screen went dark. A door opened at the back of the ship, a door that had never been there before. Behind it was a staircase, going down, leading to Earth. No one said a word, because they knew they had just stepped into humanity's game now. The staircase was impossible. No one could explain how it appeared. It hadn't been part of the ship. It didn't follow physics. It just was. The council team stood in silence, staring at the glowing steps. Soft white light shined from below, pulsing slowly, like a heartbeat. "Should we go down?" whispered Telra, the young diplomat. "We don't have a choice," Jorik replied. "They want us to see something, and if we refuse, we may never leave." One by one, they stepped forward. The stairs were warm and smooth. The light grew brighter as they descended, but it didn't hurt their eyes. The deeper they went, the quieter everything became. No ship noise, no crew talking, no weapons humming, just silence. And then they reached the bottom. The doorway opened into a wide green field. Fresh air rushed into their lungs. Real air, earth air. Above them was a blue sky. Clouds moved slowly. A gentle wind brushed the grass. Birds chirped in the distance, but something was wrong. There were no buildings, no ruins, no roads, no signs of war or destruction. Earth looked untouched, like no one had ever lived here. This doesn't make sense," said one of the scientists. "Earth had cities, megastructures, billions of people." "Maybe it's an illusion," a soldier suggested, "a trick to confuse us." Jorik kneeled and touched the soil. "It's real," he said softly, "but it's changed." They began walking. The land was peaceful. Trees swayed gently. Streams of clear water flowed nearby. Strange, glowing flowers bloomed under the sun. It was beautiful, but also eerie, because it felt watched. "I don't like this," muttered Craner. "Too quiet, too perfect." They walked for what felt like hours, yet never got tired. No one felt hungry or thirsty. The sun didn't move. It was as if time had stopped. Finally, they'd reached a hill. At the top was a single stone structure, simple, like an old human temple. Words were carved above the doorway. Not in alien script, not in any galactic language, but in English. "Truth lives here." The council team looked at one another. Jorik nodded. "We came for answers. Let us not turn away now." They stepped inside. The air inside was cooler. Light glowed from the walls, showing old paintings and carvings. But they weren't just art. They were memories. One showed humans building starships beside aliens. Another showed humans being betrayed, council fleets attacking without warning. Another showed the silence, humans leaving without war, disappearing into space. And finally, the last one. It showed Earth covered in glowing white energy. A transformation. Cities melting into nature. Machines turning into trees. Weapons turning into stone. It was not death. It was evolution. The voice returned, not from speakers, not from the air, but from inside their minds. "You feared our power, so we left. Not in defeat, but in growth. You reached for war. We reached for peace. Now you ask, what became of us?" The walls shimmered. A new image appeared. A single human figure. Eyes glowing. Skin like starlight. Floating in the air, surrounded by symbols no one could understand. The figure looked directly at them. We became more. The council delegation was frozen in place. Was this a god? A machine? A hologram? Or something beyond all three? "You are not who you were," Jorik said, falling to one knee. "You are not even human anymore." "We are still human," the voice replied. "But we stepped forward while you stood still." The team didn't know what to say. Telra spoke softly. "Why bring us here? Why now?" The voice paused, then answered, "Because soon the galaxy will change again. And before it does, we wanted you to remember what you lost, and what you could still become." The images faded, the temple dimmed, and outside, the skies began to move again. Time returned. The sun shifted. Wind picked up. Birds flew overhead. It was Earth, but reborn. "Do you think they'll destroy us?" one of the scientists whispered. "No," Jorik replied. "They don't need to." "Then what do they want?" Jorik looked up at the sky to see if we're finally ready to listen. The return signal was quiet. No loud alarms, no sudden bursts of energy, no threatening message. It was just a pulse, weak, faint, almost too soft to notice. But it came from Earth. The Council's fleet had been waiting, watching the strange, peaceful planet. They had stayed on high alert, not knowing whether humanity's disappearance was an act of peace or a warning of something more dangerous. Now, the signal was their only clue. Back aboard Silver Echo, the crew gathered around the communication table, faces tense. Jorik stood at the head of the room, his hands clasped behind his back. He stared at the monitor, where a small blinking dot was showing the weak transmission. "What is it?" Teller asked, breaking the silence. "It's Earth," replied the technician. "But it's different. It's coming from deep within the planet, under layers of rock." "Are you saying it's coming from the core?" another officer asked, eyes wide in disbelief. "Yes," said the technician. "And it's not a natural signal. It's not like anything we've seen before." Cranor, his alien eyes narrowed, leaned forward. "Can we trace it?" The technician worked quickly, tapping at the console. "We're already trying to decode it. It's encrypted, but it's human," he said. "It's clear, simple, yet layered with meaning." "Why would Earth hide its signal beneath the planet's surface?" Cranor asked, more to himself than anyone else. "We were told to listen," Jorik replied. "Perhaps Earth is waiting for us to understand what it wants." The signal grew louder, more distinct. There was a pattern in the rhythm of the pulses, a message within the silence. After what felt like hours, the technician's voice broke the stillness. "I've got it." He turned to Jorik, eyes wide with a mix of shock and excitement. "It's human code. It's ancient." "Ancient?" Teller repeated. "What do you mean by that?" The technician leaned in, running his hands over the console. "I mean it's using a language from Earth's past, but it's embedded with something far older. It's almost like a warning." Jorik's face grew serious. "A warning about what?" The technician turned the screen toward them. A string of words appeared. "Prepare for the storm. We have waited. Now you will be tested. The galaxy will see us again." The words echoed in the minds of the council members. The weight of the message hung heavy in the air. Teller spoke first, her voice trembling. "Tested. What does that mean? What is Earth trying to tell us?" Jorik looked at the message again. "We may have misunderstood. Perhaps this wasn't just a peaceful evolution, but a preparation for something." A soft voice cut through the tension. It was the voice they had heard before, the one that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "Your test is simple. Survive what is coming. And know when you see us again, you will not recognize us." A chill ran through the room. Cranor, usually the most composed, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "What does that mean? How can we not recognize them? Are they changing?" The voice spoke again, softer this time, as though the words were meant for them alone. "The galaxy is not ready for what we have become. We must rise in silence. Only then will you see what we are capable of. And when that time comes, you will understand why we left. Because we are not like you anymore." Jorik stood still, contemplating the message. It wasn't just an invitation. It was a warning, a challenge, a call to action. "Are we ready for what comes next?" he asked the crew, though the question was as much to himself as to them. "I don't know," Teller replied softly. "But I think we've been blind all this time. We did think they were gone, that Earth was just a forgotten story." Cranor shook his head. "The humans may be gone, but they left something behind. And whatever it is, it's not something we can ignore." The signal continued pulsing, growing stronger. It was as if Earth itself was calling them. telling them they had no choice but to listen. "No more waiting," Jorik said, his voice firm. "We need to go to the source. Now." He turned to the crew. "Prepare the ship. We're going down." The Silver Echo shifted, its systems coming back online as they prepared for the descent to Earth. The silence of the planet was both comforting and unsettling. What had been an untouched world was now a planet that felt far more alive, far more aware of their presence. The crew gathered their things, their minds racing with the possibilities of what awaited them. As they readied themselves to land, the voice echoed once more in their minds. "This is only the beginning." The Silver Echo descended through the clouds, cutting through the air with silent grace. Below, the landscape stretched out in a peaceful green expanse. The planet, Earth, looked untouched by time, untouched by the wars of the galaxy. But the crew knew better. They were not alone, and Earth was not as it appeared. Jorik stood at the bridge, watching the blue sky below. The signal had grown stronger as they got closer to the surface. It was like the planet itself was calling them, guiding them to where they needed to go. "Steady, everyone," Jorik said, his voice calm but tense. "This is it. Whatever happens next, we face it together." Telra, the diplomat, looked out from the window, her eyes narrowing. "The land below, it feels different, like the air itself has changed. Can you feel it?" "I do," Craner, the soldier, replied. "It's strange. It's like something's watching us, even though we can't see it." Jorik nodded. "I feel it too. But whatever it is, we will meet it head-on." The ship touched down gently, the ground beneath them vibrating with an unnatural stillness. There were no signs of life, no people, no animals, just the silent call of the planet, urging them forward. The hatch opened. The crew stepped out. The air was warm, but it wasn't the same as the air from before. It was rich with something old, something ancient. It felt like it had been waiting for them. "This place," Telra whispered, "it's alive, but in a way I can't explain." Jorik motioned for everyone to stay close. They had no idea what lay ahead, but they had to move forward. They walked across the soft grass, their boots leaving prints in the soil that immediately began to fade. The trees around them were tall, their leaves shimmering with an ethereal glow. Birds flew silently in the sky, their wings barely making the sound. Craner was the first to speak. "I don't like this. It's too peaceful, too quiet." They kept walking. The farther they went, the more they realized something was wrong. There were no signs of life beyond the plants and trees. No people, no animals. The silence was deafening. Finally, they'd reached the base of a tall mountain. Its peak was hidden by clouds, but there was something about it that felt important. "We're close," Jorik said, looking up. "The signal is coming from there. We need to climb." The climb was long and treacherous. The rocks slicked beneath their hands, but they pushed on, driven by the sense that the answers they sought were within reach. When they reached the top, they found what they were looking for. A massive stone structure stood at the peak. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, ancient and smooth, its surface covered in strange symbols that seemed to pulse with energy. There was no door, no entrance, only a single opening in the center, shaped like a human handprint. "This is it," Jorik said, his voice steady. "The heart of Earth's secret." Telra stepped forward, her hand reaching out to touch the symbol. As her fingers brushed against the stone, the ground beneath them trembled. The opening widened. A soft hum filled the air. And then they heard it, the voice. "You've come," it said, though it wasn't from the air. It came from deep within them, as if the voice was speaking directly to their minds. Jorik stepped back, his heart racing. Who are you?" The voice answered. "We are the ones who left. We are the ones who evolved. We are still Earth, but we are no longer the Earth you once knew." The words rang in their minds, each one more chilling than the last. The voice spoke with a calm authority, as if it had been waiting for this moment for eons. "We have become something more," the voice continued. "But we are not gods. We are humans, changed by time, by knowledge, by the forces of the universe itself." Cranor took a step forward. "You're telling us Earth left. It disappeared. But you stayed hidden." "We did not disappear. We simply evolved. The galaxy was not ready for us. The Council was not ready for us. So, we waited. We waited for you to understand, to learn, to grow." Tellere shuddered. "What does that mean? What is this place?" The voice answered, "This place is where we gave birth to what we have become. It is where humanity shed its old skin and became part of the universe. We are no longer bound by the same limitations. But we are not your enemy. We are the future." Jorek's mind raced. "And what do you want from us? Why now?" The voice paused. "We want you to join us, to see what we have become, to become what we are. But to do so, you must first understand our choice. You must see what we left behind." With a deep sigh, Jorek nodded. "What do we need to do?" "Come inside," the voice said. "Come and see." The crew followed, stepping through the opening in the stone. Inside, they found an enormous chamber, unlike any they had ever imagined. It was filled with energy, with light, with the power of 1,000 stars. And in the center of the room, there was a figure, human, but not human, glowing, radiant, far beyond anything they had ever seen. "This is what we became," the voice said, "and this is what you can become." The chamber was unlike anything the crew of the Silver Echo had ever seen. It felt alive with energy, humming with power. The walls were lined with glowing symbols, and the air itself seemed to pulse with an invisible force. In the center of the room stood a figure, a human, but not. They were glowing, their bodies shimmering with an otherworldly light. Their eyes burned with an intense, infinite knowledge. The crew stood frozen, awestruck. This wasn't just a human. It was something more, something other. Jorek stepped forward cautiously, his heart racing. What happened to you?" he asked, his voice almost a whisper. He knew the answer, but he needed to hear it. The figure looked down at him with calm eyes, their face serene. "We shed our old selves," the figure said, its voice both soft and powerful. "We became more than human. We became part of the universe. We can see the past, the present, the future. We understand things you cannot even imagine." Tellere, always the diplomat, spoke up. "And now you want us to join you, to become like you." The glowing figure nodded. "Yes, the galaxy is vast, and it is filled with wonders and dangers beyond your comprehension. We can show you the way, guide you. But first, you must choose." The room seemed to grow heavier with the weight of the choice. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. This was not just a decision about their future. It was a decision about humanity's place in the galaxy. "We're not ready for this," Cranor said, his voice tense. "We've only just begun to understand what you are. How can we become like you?" The figure stepped closer, their glow brighter now. "You are ready, but you must decide. You must accept that humanity has already changed. You must accept the power we now wield." Jorek's mind raced. Could they really accept this transformation? Could they let go of what they knew, to become something entirely different? He looked at his crew. They had all been through so much together. They had fought battles, explored strange worlds, and survived the unknown. But this was something they couldn't have prepared for. "Is this what you want for humanity?" Jorek asked, turning back to the glowing figure. "To become part of this new order?" The figure's eyes softened. "It is not what we want. It is what we have become. And you, too, can become this. But it is not a choice to be taken lightly. Once you step into this path, there is no turning back." Tellere took a step forward, her voice firm. "And if we refuse? If we decide we are not ready?" The figure remained still, the glow flickering ever so slightly. If you refuse, you will remain as you are. You will live your lives, but you will never know the true potential of humanity. You will never see what we have become. You will never reach the stars in the way we can." Kramer clenched his fists. "And what if we accept? What then?" "Then you will ascend," the figure replied. "You will join us in our understanding of the universe. You will rise above the limitations of flesh and bone. You will be free, in a way you can hardly comprehend. You will see the galaxy as we see it." The silence in the room was deafening. Every one of them felt the weight of the decision. Jorek turned to his crew. They had come so far, and now they stood on the edge of something far greater than they had ever imagined. But could they truly leave their humanity behind? "Tell us what you know," Jorek said finally, his voice steady but unsure. "Show us what humanity has become, and maybe then we'll understand." The glowing figure nodded once. "Follow me." They walked deeper into the chamber, where a strange, shimmering portal flickered in the air. The figure stepped through it, and the crew hesitated, glancing at each other. Then, one by one, they followed. The moment they crossed through the portal, everything around them changed. They were no longer in the chamber. They stood in a vast space. Stars surrounded them, swirling with energy. The cosmos stretched out before their eyes in ways that made their minds spin. They saw time itself, flowing like a river through the galaxies. "This is what we have seen," the figure said. "This is the universe as it truly is. The energy, the life, the death, it all flows through us. And it can flow through you too." Jorek could barely speak. The view before him was overwhelming. The power, the knowledge, it was all too much to comprehend. But then a thought clicked in his mind. "This is what humanity could become," he said softly. "This is the next step for us. But is it worth the price?" The figure smiled, the light around them flickering. "The price is not in what you lose. It's in what you gain." The crew stood together, contemplating. The choice was clear. They could become something more, something beyond human, or they could stay as they were. Jorek turned to his crew one last time. "I don't know if we're ready for this, but humanity always pushes forward. And maybe, just maybe, this is the path we were meant to take." The glowing figure nodded. "Then you have made your choice." The crew took a deep breath, stepping forward, ready to embrace their future. And as they did, the universe itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for humanity's next great leap.